right, Jimmy, here we are again.
Again.
Yes, it's the Friday before Father's Day. I like to wish you a happy Father's Day, Jimmy.
And you too?
Thank you, sir. And where to start? I mean, there's a lot going on, Jimmy, and I can set the table for you. However, I think you've got something on your mind. You want to just lay it out there. What you got
I'm
for
going to lay it out there. Title of Democrats in Disarray. Yeah, I wish they were in disarray. They have no organization. I'm going to ask you, everybody, send me a comment as to who you think is the leader of the Democratic Party. Because I know I don't like him, I don't agree with him, but I can say that Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. But we don't have a leader. We have idiots who think that they can run for president, who in the past have let us down, do not listen to us, and have nothing to do. They are going to be meeting to say leadership blue. It's bullshit blue. What they're trying to see is how do they retain control. Look, I'm going to ask another comment. Tell me what you think the Democratic Party plan A, plan B, plan C is, because none of us know it. But I can tell you what they are doing is fucking up, getting David Hogg out of the picture, pushing him out of the party, pushing senators here in the state of Florida and House Representatives out of the party, doing nothing for us, and basically thinking, well, 2026, we don't have to do much. People are going to be so pissed off with Trump that they're going to give us back the House. What a plan. It's so impressive, their plan, that I cannot say anything. Look, they're not in disarray. They're completely disorganized. And what they really are trying to do is seeing which sector of the party can take control of the party. There is no new leadership that we're hearing from.
Yeah.
We need to do a Donald Trump in the Democratic Party. We need to find somebody, is a Democrat, but can come in and tell us what we need to do and break away from this tradition that either two to the left or two to the right, or not listening to anybody and spending $20 million for people to tell them what they need to do to get the young men's vote. Well, don't kick out the young men from the party. Simple. You're kicking out the young men from the party, but you're going to spend $20 million to tell you how to get them to vote for you. Morons. So this is what my concern is. The Democratic Party has no plan. Look, half of the things that are organized, not a king for a day activity, that was not organized by the Democratic Party. That was organized by a lot of people on their own.
Indivisible.
There is a movement to get all Hispanics not to work 2 days during the month of August. That's not the Democratic Party. That is the Hispanic leadership. Look, there is no plan. What is Nikki Farr doing here in Florida? Nothing. She's losing legislators, but she's done nothing. What is she doing to recover Miami? She's doing nothing. What is she doing to right now to organize anything in Florida? She's doing nothing. So, with all due respect, it's disarray. I wish it was. It is basically non-functional and not operational. So, basically, at this point, when DeSantis says that the Democratic Party in Florida is dead, I have to say I agree with him.
Yeah.
He is completely right. The Democratic Party in Florida is dead, and it's the fault of those who call themselves leaders. So let's do something. Let's forget about our leadership, and let's do it on our own.
Okay. And it seems like there are some Democrats who are doing that. Let's go back to what you said about David Hogg leaving the DNC after I believe it was roughly a 75% vote to vacate the election that led to him and Kenyatta becoming vice chairs. And David said, I'm done. And he left the DNC to do more work with his pack, leaders that we deserve, or leadership we deserve. Um, that is an indictment on the Democrat leadership. As you said, a young man, regardless of what the opposition is saying about David Hogg, this is the Democrats' future. And they seem to have allowed it to walk away. And particularly when the Democrats need to attract young men to the party. They're losing young Hispanic men, they're losing young black men, they've lost white men in general. And this happens, Jimmy.
And and this is the thing. We talk about David, and we need to be fair. The other person that was removed as vice chair,
Can you
how
answer?
old is he?
I believe he's much younger than me. He's a young man also,
We
and he's
removed not one, we removed two.
yes, yes.
And the person that needed to be removed, the leadership does not have the cojones to do, which is the chair. He's done
Yeah.
nothing. He's been very ineffective. He has not been. He doesn't not his plan to go to all the states to talk to people. It's not
More
to talk.
talking.
It's to you should be listening, but and learning. But you're not capable of doing that. You want to straighten out the DNC, kick out the leadership completely. As a matter of fact, all of you people who voted Wednesday night, I beg you, do me a favor, quit.
Mm,
Quit. You don't deserve to
wow,
be members
Jimmy.
of the Democratic Party. Let people who want this party to go forward and help this party to be something other than your little power grab do something. Because realistically, of all the things that you people could have voted on, removing the two vice chairs was the stupidest thing you could have done. You could have voted to try to put together symposiums with the youth. You could put together doing some research as to why people abandon us, or starting the apology session. The Democratic Party this owes the United States of America an apology. If you read the book that just came out, the reason that there was no thing in the borders is that Joe Biden was so senile,
Wow.
and the administration people couldn't put together a plan for that because there was a division among the people. And Mayorkas never received any directions from the White House. He never received any directions from the White House. And what we now know is that because Biden was so senile, he couldn't do it. It was not an open border policy. It was not an open border policy. It was, I don't know what to do policy. I'm
Wow.
senile and I don't know how to govern policy, or like I like to call, a lack of any policy. So when we give credit to Biden for all these things that passed through the House and the Senate, I don't. We owe them to go state by state and say, I am sorry. We let you down. We did not govern properly. We stole two elections from you. We stole your choice to decide who
Yeah.
should be your candidate for president. That's what they should be doing. Kicking out two young people because some people are offended that they're trying to get the party on the right track. No. So do me a favor, all of you DNC members from all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands, quit. You don't deserve to be members of the leadership of this party.
Wow, Jimmy. And to add some context to the reason why Kenyatta and David were removed from their positions, and this again is an indictment on the Democrats, and what the rest of America is running away from is this policy, this DEI policy, and that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to use because on the surface, that's what it looks like. There was a challenge to their election because at least one of the, according to their rules, and I'm paraphrasing, one of the other vice presidents who should have been elected should have been someone of a different sex or binary or something to that effect. And I'm like, wow, wow, just did you not learn anything from the election? And have they not learned anything from what the pulse of the nation is? And I know this is their rules, and maybe that's another thing that the Democrats need to do is change their rules and just start electing people within the organization who have true leadership skills, who earn the vote, and get on with the business of the party. Just saying.
That's not the way. Look, that's the excuse. They
Yeah.
knew that when going into the election,
Yeah.
they knew that once they elected a male as chair, that their rules say
Yeah.
that the vice chair should be a female. So
Mhm.
they should say, among these six females, which one are you going to choose? All
Right.
right, that's not a problem. Unfortunately, when they went to the vote, the there were females who were running, and the one who objected was the one who came on the top, and basically, but the votes were not there. That
Right.
shows you that even the members who have the right to vote, who
Yeah.
know the rules, don't know how to vote. They voted for people who supposedly under their rules should not be that. And I have a problem. I really do. I have a problem where we're saying, well, if the chair is a male, the vice chair has to be a female. Why? It's not woke. It's not even DEI. It's kind of like you're going to look when the United States of America started. This is a secret that very few people know. The way you elected was that the first person became the president, and the one with the second amount of votes became vice president.
Right.
The
Yes.
problem is that you have a vice president who ran against the president, who said nasty things about the
Right.
person who's president, and doesn't like the person who's president, and lost to the president, and they're supposed to now, hey, work together. Doesn't work. Okay, the thing that we're having right now is that basically we are saying, okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is not your qualifications that's going to get you elected vice chair. It is your gender.
Yeah.
That is offensive.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something that my mother taught me. My mother was a feminist. And she said that patronizing women is discriminating against women. Because now you're saying, well, the only way you could get elected is because we force it on people to elect you. No, 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 no. May the best person win or lose. And the other thing that bothers me about the DEC, do you really want me to believe, me, past Secretary of the State Party, me who knows how the DEC works, that it was when they discovered that David had his PAC, is when everybody got offended. And now, 6 months later, no, yeah, 6 months later, we have an election
Yeah.
because we got it wrong the first time. We didn't correct it in February. We didn't correct it in March. We didn't correct it in April. We didn't correct it in May
Right.
or June. And because there was a problem with one of them. And by the way, we took out a young man who happens to be white and a young man who happens not to be white. Okay. But then we wonder why the young people won't vote for us
Right.
because we pushed them away. We've been pushing away males for years. We're stupid enough, and I'm going to say this, we're stupid enough to say lies to ourselves that we have the female vote. If we had the female vote, Hillary Clinton and Kamala would have been president.
Exactly.
Okay? So stop this lying. This is why when you say it's in disarray, no, disarray is like, well, you went a little bit to the left, you went a little bit to the right, and you have, look, you need somebody who can bring the left of the party together with the center of the party, and believe it or not, the right of the party. Because right now, we're running a conservative as a Democrat in the state of Florida for the
Right.
third time because we cannot find a real Democrat to run for governor in our state. I'm going to say this. You want to talk about disarray? You're going to run a former Republican congressman from the state of Florida, a former person that is extremely conservative. And if you're going to put him in the pandering of where he is, he's not to the left of the party. He is not to the center of the party by no stretch. He would be to the right. He would be a Bill Clinton, more or less, a borderline conservative.
Sure. A new
Uh,
Democrat.
a new Democrat. So basically, at this point, that's how bad the Florida Democratic Party is, how bad Florida Democratic politics are, because we have put for candidates 3 times
Yep.
former Republicans to run as Democrats, because we last time we came up with somebody who was a true Democrat was Mr. Gideon, and that was some time ago.
True.
Okay. We have not run anybody else. We have not prepared anybody else. Yes, there's some people in the House and the Senate that think that they could run. Nobody knows them. Who cares about them? They can't campaign. But right now, there is nothing good coming out of Tallahassee. So, uh, with that in mind, I'm going to give two ideas to the Democratic parties nationally and statewide what to do.
Before you do that, Jimmy, because I think you'll find this very interesting. I got my tablet here, and late last night I was going through X, and someone that our official account follows, Sergio Cartagena. Car-
Cartagena.
Thank you, Cartagena. Man, I got work on my Spanish. Cartagena stated in regards to the situation with David Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta. Truly believe this is why the Democratic Party and the movement keep struggling. It is stuck in its old, tired establishment ways, yet claims it wants to be the party of the youth and progressive leaders. But whenever someone calls it out, they are shut down and kicked out. This happens with organizers and organizations too. Unless you play the game by their rules, you become a problem and are eliminated. So, why continue identifying with a party that has excluded you and fails to listen? To me, Sergio, that explains the shift in Dems registering as NPAs.
I agree with him, but the problem with it, and I repeated myself for the third or fourth time, is I'm not going to leave the party to these idiots, to
Right.
these morons, and to these corrupt people. I'm going to take them out. One thing, God, I can't believe I said this twice. One thing I have to give credit to Donald Trump. He realized that the Republican parties was left, right, going here, going there, couldn't get their thing straightened out. They lost with Ronnie. They lost with what you would call it, with
Romney, McCain.
McCain, and they lost, and Bill Clinton won twice, and Bush came in because basically no, the people could not support uh, the vice president. So it is a factor that it is true. The party cannot get itself organized. Look, in 2016, we all know they stole the election from Bernie Sanders. In
Right.
2020, it was even worse. The only thing that Biden won was South Carolina, which don't mean to be insulted, but it's a small state. Okay,
Right.
delicate numbers. It was not even substantial. But also, there's a third. Oh, here's the pandemic, and now we cannot. Well, and by the way, all the Democrat governors in the large states canceled the primaries because of the pandemic and used that as excuse,
Exactly.
and then they nominated Biden. Look, you stole that election, you stole 2024, and it's this. Look, Sergio, I was pushed out of the party because of that. I was pushed out of the party because I said things that I shouldn't say. But I'm going to take back this party. I'm going to make sure that this party gets its shit together, and I'm going to get rid of everybody. I'm asking Nancy Pelosi to quit leadership, Schumer to quit leadership, Jeffries to quit leadership. All these people get out and let new people come in. And by the way, again, David Hogg, tell me how I can help you because I agree with you. We need to get rid of all the old farts and bring in the youth. Because if we don't, this party is going down the tube. And I agree with you. Why stay in a party that they don't appreciate it? That is true. Right now, I had a discussion with somebody this morning. Hispanics are not voting in Florida. And I asked that person, because he's a member of the party, I said, how much money did you spend in outreach for Hispanic vote? Oh, that doesn't, no, no. How much did you
Oh,
spend?
oh,
But they should vote first. No, 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 no. For granted, stop taking Hispanic vote. How much did you spend? Well, we didn't spend any money. Okay, so you got what you spent.
that's right.
Nothing. You spent nothing. You did not, did you send any outreach? No. Did you help candidates? No. Did you? Okay, so why should they vote for you? Well, the Republicans don't hate them. The Republicans hate what they call Hispanic immigration. That they hate, but they
Sure.
don't. They don't hate Hispanics.
Right.
Uh, they
That's
hate
right.
Hispanic immigration, which is a little bit different because it's kind of interesting. Uh, they go to factories where they know that most the people employed are Hispanic, but God forbid they don't go into the places that are known to be more predominantly white. Those places they don't go into. And Puerto Rico is getting so bad because they can't keep up with their quotas. They're walking into Puerto Rico owned businesses and asking everybody to prove that they're really U.S. citizens. And
Wow.
they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Says, when do I have to prove that I'm a U.S. citizen? So,
Hmm.
yeah. But our party has a ban. Look, I'm not sure who's voting Democrat anymore. Men, white men are not voting Democrat.
No.
Black men are staying home most of the time. And I'm saying
Yeah.
this. As a matter of fact, we had a struggle. And this is something that people don't like to talk about, but it's a fact of life. We had a struggle convincing black men to vote for Kamala.
That's right. That is the stone truth.
Okay, that that because we took for granted. Well, we're going to give it. No, it didn't work. As a matter of fact, more black men voted for Hillary than they did for Kamala. Just
Bingo. That's right. That's right, Jimmy. You're right. Got the numbers.
the numbers don't lie. So
That's right.
okay, uh, females, no, we have lost that vote long time ago. We
Hmm.
thought the abortion would bring them back. Not
No.
really. To think that a gender everybody thinks the same is stupid. But that's a Democrat way of thinking, stupidly. So, what can we do? Okay, two things. The double L,
Double L.
listen
Okay.
and learn.
All right.
Not that's just listen and then, oh, well, they're stupid. No, no. Listen and learn.
Listen and
Because
learn.
the biggest problem that Democrats have in their leadership is that they think they know everything. They don't need to learn anything, and they can put together a plan with that and get everything right.
Truth.
Listen and learn. Look,
Truth.
a lot of people are not happy with your leadership. If they're not, get out of the kitchen. A lot of people really think that Democrats need to focus more on jobs, which was their original platform, just for those who don't remember this,
That's right.
and less on DEI. That they need to focus more on the economy, okay, and making my life easier and less
Correct.
on transgender issues. Most Americans think that Democrats should focus on education and less on trying to get equality for certain groups of people. Look, this is something that people do not understand about numbers. People think that the center is the majority. It's the minority. And where you got? Donald Trump has 40 to 43% of the population who's ultra right, that no matter what you do, they're not going to change. They're
That's true.
not going to vote for a Democrat. Stop pretending that if you stop doing this, these people are going to vote for you. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. It's not going to happen.
You're right.
Okay. 44% of this country identifies themselves either as progressives or liberals.
Hmm.
We don't. Okay, that's 87%. The rest of the country identifies themselves as moderates. Even those Democrats that are going NPA have either to the right or to the left views. People are not as centrist as we want to think. But this is the stupid thing that Democrats do. We have protests in Los Angeles and all around the country.
Right.
Please don't be violent. Please control yourself. We don't want to give them the excuse. Okay. Republicans, hey, kill them. You want to talk about the hypocrisy of our president? We're not going to allow these people to spit on the police. No. But on January 6th, you allow them to kill them. And then you pardon them for that. We are not going to put up with any destruction of property. January 6th, they destroyed the Capitol.
Right.
Okay? But those are patriots. Those were patriots. The people who protest against ICE, those are hooligans. And we let them frame ourselves this way.
Right.
And that is the problem. We're always trying to be stupidly politically correct. We're not.
Yes.
They're not.
Right.
Most people don't give a shit about politically correct. My idea is that you want to protest and protest as much as you want. That is your right. Look, do I agree with every protest? No. Do I agree with everything that is going on? No. The king for the day, I don't give a royal hoot about the king of the day. Look, I look at the parade in a completely different way. It's the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. That is the real reason for the parade. And they just putting his birthday into it. Bullshit. It is the United States Army. As a former member of the United States Army, salute. And by the way, military people do not like to participate in parades. And you ask me, why? We don't like to be in the sun.
That's right.
With a full uniform, sweating down a street. That's not what we signed up for. But being that as you Democrats need to learn and listen. Second thing that they need to do, and this is even stranger, is stop thinking they have all the answers. No, they do not. Fourth, and these are the four I'm going to leave you with. You want to win the election? Fire all your consultants. All of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Use that money. If you took that money and spend it in what we call in politics at least $10 per voter, and making sure that they receive texts, make sure that they receive somebody who knocks on their door, make sure they follow the Ferguson plan. Now, another day I was playing the Ferguson plan because you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I do.
One of the most brilliant minds in politics that I've ever sat down and had the honor to talk to. And he's a brilliant African-American man from Washington, D.C. And he came here and he won big for Orange County. Okay.
2016.
Okay. So this is what you need to do. If you get rid of the consultants, learn and listen, go out there and realize you don't know everything, you will be able to come up with an election. Look, if there's one thing, God, this is the third time. I can't believe I'm getting that far. This was one thing I have to give credit to Trump of doing is that he listened. He knew what the people were pissed off with factories leaving the country, with the economy, with things getting more expensive, and all these criminals happening here in the United States. Yeah. And he listened. That's what the people, and he became their advocate. We need somebody to do the same on our side. Somebody who could go and say, you know what? We don't need to concentrate on DEI. We need to concentrate on jobs. We don't need to concentrate on transgender. We need to concentrate on the economy. We don't need to concentrate on on matters of immigration. We need to fix it.
Thank you.
It is broken, and go to the legislature and say, you people have fucked it up because you run on it, because you don't want to fix it. There was a proposal to fix it 2 years ago, and basically, what did Donald Trump say to you? Don't do it because we won't have something to run on. That is the issue that we have here that we need to deal with. The Democratic Party needs to stop thinking that they know the answers and that they're going to win the 2026 election. And by the way,
Yeah.
none of the current leadership should be considered for future leadership. They let you down in 2016,
Correct.
2020, and 2024. That's it. Look, the other day somebody said to me, and I'll give one example. Pete Buttigieg. Oh, look, Pete went online. Pete went on the TV and said that he had talked to Biden and that he was quite coherent, that he was brilliant, that his mind was there, and that he was fluent, and and there was no problem with his senility. Well, I hate to say this. On June of last year, June this month, same month that we're in, we saw Joe Biden in a debate, and I was embarrassed at that moment to call myself a Democrat.
Yeah. It was
But
shocking.
it was shocking. And what was more shocking is all of a sudden now everybody, all of a sudden, Pelosi realized that he was senile. That night, give me a break, Nancy.
No,
No,
we knew.
no, they all knew they talked to him. But just seeing sometimes when he would do some strange appearances, say,
Sure, sure.
that man's gone. He's senile. Uh, he would go on the teleprompter. Yeah, no. He's senile. The problem is that the Democratic Party owes all that leadership, owes an apology to the American public and saying, thank you for your trust in the past and bye-bye. But right now, we need to start from scratch. The party has let us down, and the current leadership is not even leading us. Can you tell me, and this is a question, make a comment. I would enjoy this. Tell me what you've seen your Democratic Party done between January of this year and June that you can say, that makes me proud to be a Democrat.
Please, yes, bring the comments. Let us know. For those of you who support the Democratic Party, like Jimmy said, tell us, what was it? What is it since January 20th to now that you're
Yeah.
proud of? That the Democrats have demonstrated that they are relevant. Those are my words.
Not only that they're relevant, that you can say, look, this is something that they should do. Look, I can't think of anything that's come out of the leadership. Nothing.
Right.
The organization that's putting together Not a Day for a King, that's not the National Party. The only thing the National Party has done lately is kick out 2 young men from the leadership.
Yeah, right. And to talk about leadership, Jimmy, a shout out to James Ferguson. I looked him up while you were talking. James Ferguson, who came to Orange County, and I have to tell this story. I knew nothing back in 2015, 2016 about Orange County, about Florida politics, but there was James who sat there and crafted the plan for the Democrats to win some races to turn the tide, and particularly then candidate Emily Bonilla. And I sat down with him a little bit before the election. However, had several phone calls with him. I sat there and listened and learned about the politics that I was facing within the party, within the community. And then after the election, I had an opportunity to sit down and have lunch with him and some of his team. And I listened and I learned, like you said, and it opened my mind to more than just the party or the establishment perspective, but to a greater perspective that made me a better political advisor, campaign manager, et cetera, et cetera. And so, exactly what you said, Jimmy, you know, it starts with listening and learning.
Well, let's get this clear. The interesting part is Juan Lopez was the chair.
Yeah.
I was the committee man. Nancy Jacobson was the committee woman. Uh, Londra Robinson was the vice chair.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down and we said, we need to bring somebody in. We cannot continue doing the same stupid things, which were in the past, and I'm going to say this, which some people say, mailers, which end up in the garbage can.
Yes.
Uh, candidates cards, which basically was trying to say to the people who uh, uh, who was who, okay, uh, basically saying, well, Emily Bonilla is a Democrat. Uh, Ted Edwards is a Republican. Ted Edwards was out because of what he did, more
Yeah,
than the fact
that's
that he was
right.
a Republican. He ignored his constituents. He went against his constituents,
That's
and
right.
he pissed off his constituents. So
That's right.
I
That's right.
lived I lived back there in District 5, and we were like pissed off to the point that he used to send us emails, and we would send him emails back saying, "Take me off your list." No, we unsubscribed ourselves.
Right.
That's what we did, and he got something like 3,000 unsubscribed, and he started to get the message.
Right.
Now, uh, Ferguson came and he sat down and said to us, uh, uh, "You guys, at least you admit that you're not political savvy, how to put a campaign in, and that you think that Orange County could go really blue." And he sat down and he wrote us a plan. Now, what I call the outside leadership, Dick Batchelor, Mayor uh,
Dire.
Dyer, and some others criticized us because we were paying them $1,000 a week. We had them and we had the money, and we said we would prefer to pay him than the stupidity of sending out mailers.
That's
And
right.
what he did, he put together a plan that at the end of it, Maxwell called it. Scott
Scott.
Maxwell from the center called the biggest victory in the state of Florida. Back then, you got what was called the votes that a state committee man, a state committee woman was based on the victory. And we had the largest victory in Florida. So we went from 28 votes each to 39 because of our
Mhm.
victory. But the thing that it was that he very carefully set it together, put it together, and the first thing he told me, I never forget, he said, "Do you know why what's her face lost for governor against Rick Scott?" And I said, "Why? She spent too much time in the Panhandle."
It's not where the Democratic votes are.
Not only that, look, what we did with him, the first thing he sat down and said, "Of these precincts, these 38 precincts, we're not going to spend a penny."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Why not?" "Well," he said, "these are all Republican districts that the Republicans consistently win by more than 20%. So putting money in here is a waste of money." Then he gave us 42 that we were not going to put money in because Democrats won those by more than 20%. There's no need to go there. There was 40 some that were what we call purple. He said, "These are the ones you need to work to turn them from purple to blue." And that's where we put our emphasis. We knocked more doors on those precincts. We knocked those the doors on those MPAs, which normally Democrats tend to ignore because they think that they Democrats, if they go out to vote, they're going to vote Democrats. So there, I agree with first. We worked them. We had candidates knocking on doors in those areas more than any place else, and we turned of those 41 purple, something like 36 or 37 into blue, and some to strong blue, and some into what I like to joke light blue, but still blue,
That's right.
because they were worked. And the problem is that what he was trying to tell us is you need to know your audience. I never forget, he used to have one phrase that he repeated: "All politics are local, stupid." And we did that. I had lunch with him, and as much as I thought I knew about it, he could tell me which precincts we needed to work, which areas would not. As a matter of fact, I never forget him telling me that, contrary to popular belief, I lived in the most white district in District 5. I always thought it was one or two. He says, "No, no, 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 no. One and two have black areas. Five
Yeah.
does not." Okay, so it was like, south of Paprika is black. We know that. Okay,
Right.
there's part of Winter Garden in the south that is black. We know that. There's no place in District 5 that we can say that's a no. Betlo, oh no, that's white. Christmas, oh no, that's white. Amalur Park, no, that's so we there is no, but uh, well, no. So the whitest was, and I was like, really? I never thought of it that way. Yeah,
Wow.
as a matter of fact, you have Winter Park, Maitland in District 5 still today, but back then we didn't. You want anything whiter? No. So it was really something that fascinated that how well he knew the six districts and everything. As a
That's
matter of
right.
fact, he was the one that first told me that, uh, and I forget this, that if Orange County is not careful, we would go from a majority of MPAs than Democrats because we were not taking care of our own people.
That's right.
So
I agree.
so basically, at this point, yes, we can. So one of the things we need to learn is to listen and learn. One of the problems that the Democrats part have is that they will go to the consultants, give them money, here, money, tell me what to do. Well, I think they spend a lot of money on weird. The consultants came back, you don't want to, and Nazi, and the thing behind that was that might scare the old people to vote for. Look, the old people are not going to vote for a person that is not a white male in his 80s. My generation has a tendency to think that communism still exists. It's kind of strange, but their president's best friend with the last known communist, Putin. But that's now the other thing that we need to address down the line is
Okay.
how can the Democrats win?
We've been there before, Jimmy, several times.
We have, but in fairness, somebody told me, and they're right. The first comment videos that we did about the 15 points, they were more addressed to the Florida Democratic Party than to the national.
Ah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. Okay.
Okay, and they told me, no, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was it, out and out the month. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
okay, so that was, and recently it's more of a criticism of the party. So I'm going to try to come up with, like I said, learn and listen.
Yes.
Listen, and don't. One of the things that I think my party has had bad issue with is thinking that a person's opinion is wrong. In my family, like in every family, I have people who voted for Trump.
Right.
And if you say, "Well, nobody in my family," you're a liar. Uh, so yeah, and when I sit down, some of their concerns are wrong. Really, they're wrong. The other day, I looked at one of them and say, "Hey, when is the war in Iraq going to end?" And he'll be, "Well, he's working on that, but Putin won't cooperate." No. He was the one who made the promise that day one he will solve it. And now we even have a new one with Israel and Iran. So if anything, things are not getting better, they're getting worse. But it's listen because sometimes what they're telling you, you might disagree with, but don't shortchange it. Try to see how you could do. At the same time, one of the things that you need to learn, there's one thing that Republicans are better than Democrats. What do you think it is?
I would say messaging to their following, messaging to the American people.
Not really. You're
Oh,
half right.
okay.
They're messaging to scare people that they should vote Democrat. That liberals will uh, create all these big problems, and that the country's going to go down the tubes if you vote for them. The Democrats have a DEA, they have a transgender thing, they have all
Mhm.
these LBGQ things, and they don't care about the economy. All they care is about their little groups. They think that they're smarter than you, which to some degree that might be true from some of the leadership. They think they're better than you. They're all intellectual. In other words, they have a messaging against us.
That's
They
true.
don't have a messaging as how they're going to solve the problem. They don't have a messaging as, hey, vote for me and things are going to get better. No. And they don't have a message that they can even say, do anything. The price of gas is expensive. That was because of 4 years of the Democrats. The price of eggs is still high. That's because of the 4 years of the Democrats. Uh, the war and Israel is because the Democrats didn't do anything to protect Israel. That's not even a good one, but that's
Yeah.
what they're saying. So what I'm trying to say, they know how to put us down. They don't have a messaging in the aspect of saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, how we can improve the economy. No, no, no. It's more of a scare tactic. They're wrong. And we tried to copy them in the 2024. You don't want Trump. He's bad.
That goes so far.
Kamala never said from day one what she was going to do.
That's right.
Why? Because she was afraid that if she said that, say, we fucked up. I'm going to do better. We'll be putting down Biden. So her hands were tied. So you need somebody to be the candidate for president. Say, look, Joe Biden fucked up. Kamala fucked up. Schumer, Pelosi, and all those people fucked up. We're creating a new Democratic Party with new leadership, and we're going forward, and we're going to make this a party for the people and of the people, and not the party of the rich and the corrupt like the Republicans. Whoa!
But however, Jimmy, this sounds like someone from outside of politics that can do
No,
this.
no, somebody outside of the party.
Okay.
Because realistically, could it be somebody else outside? There's a lot of Democrats who are not in leadership. And
True.
yeah, I know I'm giving an example of one that I like very much. He's not going to run for president. Kent doesn't qualify. But the two that I just kicked out, two young people with a
Hmm.
great vision, with understanding how to get the young people to vote, understanding what the problems are in this country with guns and everything else, how to throw back in the face of the Republicans their license bullshit. There are people out there. The
Yes.
problem is that the party has made sure that they don't succeed. And
Right.
look, I
That's right.
knew personally, and I can say this, I knew a former Democrat who is now the person in charge of national security from the great state of Hawaii. I had the opportunity to drive with her from from Kissimmee to Tampa
Okay.
on a rally when she was backing Bernie Sanders.
Oh, here we go, Jimmy.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do, sir. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, boy, Jimmy.
Okay. And what did she tell me? She said, the problem with the Democratic Party is that those of us who disagree with the leadership, they push us out. And what we tend to forget is that she was the vice chair and she was pushed out because she backed Bernie Sanders.
Yep. That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
She'll say
So,
that to this day.
and some people said she went crazy. I talked to her in the car during Bernie Sanders' campaign that we were working here in the state of Florida when he talked in Tampa, and to be blunt, she was crazy back then. She was, but she was a crazy liberal, okay, who basically had ideas of how to straighten things out that scared the party. It really did scare the party.
Mhm.
But right now, we need somebody who's an outsider, who's not in the structure of power, who cannot be corrupted. Uh, and trust me, don't try to tell me somebody rich because uh, uh, rich people can be corrupted. As a matter of fact, it's easier for them because that's their bread and butter. So they will have no problem with being corrupted. But somebody could come in and talk to the American public in just simple English saying, this is wrong. We should not be allowing our government to be corrupt, to
Mhm.
sell out to the highest bidder. We should not be involved in all these procedures. and trying to bully the world to do what we say and not go along with the world. Look, right now, that we should not accept the lies as truth. For the last 3 weeks, it's been announced that China and the U.S. have reached an agreement. The terms are the same level, and no agreement has been announced nor explained to the American public. But there is a lie out there that, yeah, we're reaching an agreement. We're still fighting Canada. We're still fighting with Mexico. And basically, they're not going to back out. They're not going to allow us to push us around. As a matter of fact, they're both right. Donald Trump in 2018 signed a new modified NAFTA agreement with them, which right now he is violating.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is not honoring. So basically, at this point, they're like, I don't care. We'll wait out 3 years and maybe we'll get lucky and somebody with half a brain will come and be the president of the United States.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I was even thinking of spending some time in August in Canada, and I would have to go. I'm not American. I'm Puerto Rican T-shirt, so they don't tell me. And by the
Oh,
way, I don't know if you know. Start to look at the numbers. But for those of you who do not know, we live in Central Florida, and visit Orlando's numbers are down.
yes. Yes, they are.
Okay,
It's been very quiet. Yes, they are. You're right.
and it particularly they're down internationally. If you go to the Orlando airport, they will tell you that the number of flights are down. The planes are not as full as they used to be. People making reservations through Disney and the other companies for tourism here is down. So, uh, and that is not because of the 12 countries. Trust me, the 12 countries, Cuba didn't come here for tourism, Venezuela didn't come here for tourism.
Right.
Uh, Half of the African countries that are on the list were not heavily into tourism. You have a decline from Canada, large. From Mexico and Central America, large. Europe is practically not coming here.
Right.
Okay? Asia is not coming here. Believe it or not, we criticize the Chinese and all this, but there was a lot of Chinese tourism here.
Yes, that's true. That's something that we don't talk about.
No, we
And
don't.
and you're right about the economic numbers. Granted, according to the Orange County Comptroller's Office, uh, the county did bring in on par with last year this time, on par with last year this time, just about a little bit more than last year in tax revenue. However, like you said, Jimmy, when you look at the number of flights to bringing visitors to Central Florida, to Orange County, when you see who these individuals, what countries they're from, those numbers are down.
Yeah, they're down. Look, the ones that maintain themselves steady here in Central Florida are our local, what we call our local tourism that come from different parts of the United States. And I say different parts because if you're in the West Coast, you go to Disneyland. If you're in the East Coast, you go to Disney World. We
Right.
know that. And we have the advantage that we have Universal here. We have Legoland and all. Yes, those not. But Legoland let people go because they're
They did.
came down. So when people talk to me about that this is not impacting, yes.
Yeah, it is.
So let's talk about the fuck up of the week.
All right, here we go. We're going with the Republicans first or the Democrats first, or
No, the Republicans. We
okay.
look for those of you who think that the divorce is over. It is over. Uh, Mrs. Musk and Mrs. Trump have made up, and they have decided to kiss up. The only thing is that Mrs. Trump does not forgive what Mrs. Musk did, and that's why Mrs. Musk is apologizing and
Yep.
trying to get into her good graces. The truth is that that is part of the fuck up because basically here is where the fuck up is. The fuck up is he said he went a little bit too aggressive against Donald Trump, but he's not apologized. He's not apologized for his comments on the big and beautiful thing. But,
Exactly.
but you notice that they're no longer talking about the big and beautiful bill because now that people have had time to read it, find out there's $1 billion that's not for the Defense Department, but not assigned to any project per se, allowing the Defense Department spending whatever it wants, including including giving it to people like Musk or others for just for a consulting fee. That's one thing. The other thing that is interesting is that they have not cut waste, and they know that. But here is where the fuck up really comes to
Mhm.
conversion. They have realized, and they won't tell you this, is that they have noticed that what they were counting on was that the tariffs money would make up for the deficit that was going to be created to a certain degree. For that to happen, now the numbers tell them it's not. But because President Trump is a salesman of good tacos, and for those of you who do not know what tacos stand for, it is not what you think of. Trump always chickens out. And basically, since there has not been a consistency, that has done that. And right now, and right now, they are starting to give in to the Senate and to the Senate's changes on the bill. And when the
Mhm.
bill comes out, it is not going to be the same. And the cuts in Medicaid are not going to be as impactful. Look, somebody told me that the cuts in Medicaid have not come, and you're right, they haven't. What I was trying to tell you all is what would happen if it did.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's go into the fuck up of the Democrats.
All right.
The ones of the Democrats is simple. Yeah, we know they want to spend $20 million to for consultants to tell them how to deal with young people. Yet they took the young people leadership of the Democratic Party and they kicked them in the ass and they kicked them out simply because they couldn't figure out in early 2020 that if the chair was a man, that the vice chair should be a female. And they should have applied that rule at the election level,
That's
which they didn't. Okay. And they were fine with that. They had no problem with that. They knew that they had fucked up. They knew until they found out that the young people in question were not going to be line soldiers who were going to fall in line and do as told by the Democratic Party. So they went out and they threatened the leadership of the party and told them that if they wanted to continue having their little title as state uh, uh, representatives, they would have to vote them out. There was a great campaign from some of the leadership to
yeah.
get both of these young people out. You kicked out a white young man and a black young man. And then you wonder why these people are becoming MPAs, why these people are
That's right.
abandoning the party, and why they do not vote for you. It's because you have treated them just like you treated the Hispanics like shit. Or either you get your shit together, party, or you're going to continue losing. Of all the things the Democratic Party could have voted for, voting two people out was the dumbest and the stupidest of all. And again, I'm going to reiterate myself. All of you that voted on Wednesday night should quit and become passive in the Democrat Party and give up your leadership in the party. The chairman of the party should quit
Give me.
tomorrow because he's been ineffective and allow new people to come in. Do you know that the average age of these people who voted out Dave is in the 60s?
Oh, Jimmy, that just pours gasoline on the problem. That that's sad, and that's the direction that this party's going now,
Yeah, well,
or
look,
continuing to go.
okay, let me put it. How old is Pelosi? How old is Schumer? In
In
their
their
80s? Both of them. Both of them, okay? and that's a leader in the House, and the other's the leader in the Senate. But we that's why they have to spend $20 million to for them to tell them how to listen to the young people. You know how you do? You don't kick out the two most inspiring young leaders out of the party. You don't. And that's why Sergio says, I'm gone. And I agree with you that this party is down the dumpsters. But I'm going to kick out all the old farts, all the misleaders, and take my party over and bring my party back to where it belongs to the people, for the people, and do what the people wanted to do and not what the special interest groups want us to do. Thank
All
you.
right, Jimmy. There it is. There it is, right there. And to go back to what you were saying before, Jimmy, you said you want to talk about the plan for the local party to become successful, correct?
Correct. I would like them to sit down, if they can sit down with James Ferguson, sit down with people similar
Hmm.
that can come up with plans. Look, a lot of our party goes by emotion. We have
That's
right,
correct.
right now we have to keep the African Americans happy. We have to do this for the African Americans because we imagine that's what they want. Not that we sat down with them.
Not that they're
Uh,
talking to.
and the same with Hispanics. They want open borders. We don't want open borders. No, we don't.
No.
Uh, so that's not. So the thing is doing that and putting together a plan. Look, it was very calculated. James Ferguson plan. These counties, I mean, these
Right.
precincts we can win. They're Republican. These precincts we don't have to work because even if we
Solid.
were all drunk, they vote Democrat. These are the precincts that are purple. Let's work them to turn them blue, and that's what we did. The
Exactly.
same thing is listen to what people want. It's a lot of times Democrats have the bad habit to think that women are pro-abortion. No, they're not. There's a lot of women who are pro-life. Okay,
Right.
let's stop pretending it. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things that you have to understand that I don't think they do. There's one thing that African Americans and Hispanics have in common is that most of your fundamental churches, not the Catholic, and also the Catholic Church, but if you go to what you would call a typical Hispanic church, an African American church, they're not pro abortion at all. Okay?
It's true.
They're pro life.
That's true.
So when you think that this is something that's going to bring people towards us, it's not exactly true. The same thing is that the thought that if we run an African American woman, all African American men will vote for her.
No.
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 Okay. So, or if we do this, this is what's going to happen, even though we're guessing that's what's going to happen. Look, it's a very simple thing. You and I have worked politics. You need to work your voters.
That's right.
Your voters want to hear. Look, Orange County. Ted Edwards was voted out because he was pro development on
Right.
measure. And he was voted out because his constituents went to a meeting and he told them that they did not know what they're doing and he voted against them.
That's
Okay?
right.
Betsy was voted out because she was so anti environment that an environmental person won that election. Okay?
Hmm.
Let's be honest. If you're going to take Orange County, Kelly, pro environment. Betsy, pro environment.
Or Nicole, you mean?
Nicole. Nicole was pro environment. Okay? Uh, you could talk about the others, but even the others would not be there to talk against for environment. They might
Right.
not be so environmentalist as these two are committed, but they're not. And the people who are going to come up, if they think they're going to come in there and be not pro environmental, they're going to have a problem.
Yes, they are, sir.
So, and even the new anybody who's going to run in District Two, I'm going to tell them to be careful about that. But this is the thing: listen and learn. You don't have to agree, but if that's what your people want to happen, you should listen to the people and not think that you know what they want. That's been a big problem in the Democratic Party. oh, this is what they want. We're going to use the word weird. People want to hear that everything is okay. They don't want to hear, you know, no, no, no. You have to be politically correct. You don't go out there and say that Republicans are corrupt. They're taking money. They're screwing the environment. They're doing that. No, no, no. They've been doing it against us for years.
Yeah.
Why not take the offensive? What do we got to lose?
It'll be a lot better than what's happening now.
Well, what's happening now? That's my question to everybody. What is happening now to the Democrats?
Put it in the comments, people. Put it in the comments.
Yes. What would you like to see the Democrat Party do, if anything? Okay. With that in mind, please subscribe. Hit that button. Please make your comments. I don't even care if you think that I'm a jerk. Comment that. I'm happy with that, and I might even agree with you on that comment. Do me a favor. Also, like or dislike, and fourth, tell your friend. Look, there's this crazy guy on with a podcast talking about how to save the Democratic Party. You might want to listen to him. Okay, and that's how we get the message out. So, with that in mind, happy Father's Day, happy Grandfather's Day.
Awesome.
And you all enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you.